Okay, so we were just talking about the voting distribution, the votes, and then the actual House seats that were won by each of the political parties. And we determined that the votes do not reflect the distribution of House seats because the proportion of Republican votes, which was the 51.8%, was far from the proportion of Republican seats, which is 64.7 and 49.4 versus 75%. Same thing with the Democrats. So because the proportion of Republican voters is far from the proportion of the Republican seats, then no, they just do not match up. Now discuss whether redistricting based on the 2010 census affected the distributions of votes and representatives. And it looks like the redistricting here, so now we're going to be looking at this little green numbers here, 49.4 versus 75%, 50.6 versus 25%. That redistricting didn't help much because the winning party lost a percentage of votes but gained a percentage of seats in the House. And they had a lower percentage of votes in 2012. So anyway, those are some of the things that we have to notice with redistricting. Hopefully, when those redistricting suggestions are given, that people actually look and see what's going on and if it helped or not prior to the next redistricting that occurs with the next census. So hopefully we can hope. All right. The next part is boundary drawing. All right. The courts have generally allowed even very convoluted district boundaries to stand for some reason or other, even if they're very complicated. They're fine with them, and the courts will allow it as long as they do not violate any specific laws and they meet the following criteria. So all of these things have to be met. The districts within a particular state must have very nearly equal proportions, and that's based on the principle one person, one vote. So if they are populations, if their population in one district is 1 million people, then in the next district it should also be drawn so that the population is 1 million people, and so on and so forth. So all of the districts that are drawn need to have an equal population or nearly equal population. All right, the other thing that must occur is that the district must be contiguous, and that means that every part of the district must be connected to every other part. So you can't just take a little enclave of houses over here in this subdivision and then a little bit over here and make that a district. All right, it can't be that. It means that when I have my little housing market, I have to actually district them so that all of these districts, so this District 1, District 2, District 3, in this example, they're all within the same borders. They can't just pick a little bit here, pick a little bit there, like in that example. This is a bad example. This is a good example. Contiguous and non-contiguous. All right. So what you're asked to do in some of the homework is to draw a simple set of district boundaries. All right, make sure each district has 8 voters. There's so many different ways you can do this. So I'm gonna, you know what, I can't erase. Dang it, I didn't think of that. Let's see, I guess I'll just draw them in different colors. So how many different houses do I have here across 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 by 8, and you want 8 voters. I mean, you could just go right straight down and just make one street a district like that, so on and so forth. Okay. And you can go the other way too, horizontally, but I don't want to mark it up too badly because I know I'm not going to have a whole lot of options here. I can't remember, but that's another way to do it. So those are 8 houses in each district. So I can do another 8 houses in each district and another 8 houses in each district and another 8 houses in each district. So that's another way to work it. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. That's a district and that's a district. You can go straight across here and make 1, 2, so there are 8 houses. There are 8 houses. Hopefully you can see that. There are ways to do it a little crazy. I don't know if you're going to even be able to see this yellow, but you could take these 8 houses district, and then you can take these. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8. You can take these. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know. I'm like just making this up as I go. Let's see. 1, 2. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll go to there. I don't know. And then how should we do the rest of these? Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know. Anyway, you can kind of get the idea. I probably wasted way too much time trying to figure out a crazy way to draw those. But anyway, there are several ways to make it so that they're contiguous and there's no breaks in them, and there are 8 voters each. These are just some examples. And maybe I should have just shown you this in the first place, but I mean, you can see different boundaries drawn. Suppose that the state to the right has 4 districts with 4 voters each. And you can do that in a way that is really easy. You can just do that for each. But it says find a way to draw a boundary so that one of the districts is all Republicans. And can you do it? Leaving Democrats with either majority or a tie in all 3 of the other districts. Remember that the district must be contiguous, but assume no other restrictions. So one possible way is to hit all 4 of these right here. Let me get a different color. Well, that's weird. I figured out how to get rid of my colors just like that, except now I don't know where my pen is. I guess I'm always yellow for here on out. So therefore, Republicans, that allows you to get 4 all in one shot. And then here you have a majority of Democrats in that set. And I don't know how they're doing this. They must use this little outside edge and make 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a possible way to draw the district boundaries to accomplish the goal that you have one all Republican boundary or district, and then Democrats with the majority or a tie in all of the other districts, which is very possible. All right. Ideas for reform. So, is there any way to reform the system to prevent such overtly partisan redistricting? And the 2 general approaches have been suggested. The first is to turn it over to an independent, nonpartisan panel, such as a panel of judges. Many other countries use such independent panels to handle redistricting, including Great Britain, Australia, and Canada. They just say, here, you panel of judges, you decide how the redistricting or the districting should go. Handful of states do the same. However, a lot of people argue that no one is truly nonpartisan. Even judges aren't nonpartisan. We've seen that so much lately. However, some people argue that no one is truly nonpartisan and that the system still leaves too much room for political manipulation. I repeated myself a little bit, but sorry. And the second reform approach is to come up with a mathematical algorithm and then hand it all over to a computer and have the computer drop the boundaries independent of any human input. And so then it would be very fair. You could say, well, this house is Republican, this house is Democrat, and you can set up the computer system so that it sees the whole neighborhood and knows to put a 50% Republican, 50% Democrat households in those boundaries. And that would guarantee that no partisan advantage could be taken. But unfortunately, this turns out to be quite a difficult mathematical problem. It's really not possible. They've not found a way yet to use a particular set of simple district shapes, such as triangles or rectangles, in their algorithm, so they can't fit together properly everything that is provided in our little imperfect world. So there are no equal number of voters. And once we move away from simple geometrical shapes, the mathematics become very far more complex. And they haven't found a way yet to tell a computer, hey, draw this using these shapes. So you have to tell them what kind of shapes to use. And they just, it comes out blank every time. So no one's perfectly set up a program to do it. And then finally, decide whether the following statement makes sense or not. In the last election in my home state, 48% of the people voted for a Democrat, and Democrats won 65% of our state seats in the House of Representatives. So 48% said they voted, but 65% of the state seats are Democrat. Now, this statement makes sense because the districts could be drawn in such a way to grant Democrats the majority, the 65% of the state seats of the House. So that could happen. That makes sense. Second one, polls show that half of the voters in our state plan to vote for Democrats in the House election, so it's 50-50. Therefore, I can definitely expect half of our representatives to be Democrats. This does not make sense because, again, the districts could be drawn in such a way that the Democrats do not gain half of the representative seats. They could be the minority in more than half or less than half of the districts, depending on how those redistricting lines are drawn. All right, that's the lesson. Have a great day. Oh, and good luck doing your homework, 12D. Again, there's nothing on the test on it, but the homework is due, and it has, I think, 12 or 15 problems on it. So good luck with that.